What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the InkedNBA podcast. Might look a little different this week because we are doing our first in-person interview with the legendary trainer, Chris Brickley. Chris, what's up, bro?
What's going on, man? Appreciate you for having me. I've been following you guys' page from almost like when you started.
Yep.
You came a long way, so congratulations.
Appreciate that. We're in the Summit Gym in the city. This is where some of the runs go down, some of the workouts go down. So just talk to me quick about, this gym. How did it come about, and just the whole aspect of bringing guys here?
Yeah, so this is where I do my workouts. This is where I work, all the NBA guys out. This is where you see online me working out artists. This is where I work out. I do the rapper runs. This is my home.
This is the gym.
Yeah.
So like you said, you were one of the dudes, and this is why when we started the podcast, I was like, you were one of the first guys. I was like, I got to get you on the show. Because like you said, it was back in 2019. I remember I'm sitting in bed scrolling through Instagram, and I get a DM from Chris Brickley that says dope page. And I was like, no fucking way. I was like, this got to be like a fake account or something.
Uh-huh.
And I look, and it was you, and I was like, wow. And at the time, I would think I was at, like I was saying, maybe 10,000 followers. So that first kind of recognition was kind of the push for me. So I appreciate you kind of supporting through the whole thing. But what kind of drew your interest to not only the page, but just for you, tattoos in general, when you started growing up?
So first off, just, I'm big on finding, everyone can find someone once they're established, send them a DM, dope work. And, I think it hits different when, you actually really are looking through social media, or you're reading the news or whatever, and you find something that's about to be dope, and you kind of can see it. And I saw the way you were posting. I was like, man, this page has potential. It's super dope. Obviously, I'm into tattoos. So, and I was right. So you're now the most lit NBA Instagram there is, right?
Yep.
So as far as what's attracted me to tattoos, I guess this is expressing myself.
Mm-hmm.
This is an easy way to express myself. And, it's kind of, my tattoos are almost like a book.
Yeah.
So if I were to ever write a book one day, the book would be chapters would be tattoos. So I have no regrets, because each of my tattoos was a certain time of my life. And that's kind of how I do my tattoos.
So let's take me back. Growing up, you grew up in New Hampshire, right? And now you're in New York.
Yep.
Obviously, the culture difference is huge between those two cities,
Big time.
two places. You come to New York, a lot of people have tattoos. A lot of people are into the fashion, all that.
For sure.
New Hampshire, I've never been there, but off just the top of my head, I'm thinking, New Hampshire isn't like that.
No.
So what's kind of the difference? And just what did you see when you came out to New York and took that kind of leap?
Yeah.
What did that kind of do for you and your ability to express yourself?
Yeah, it did a lot. So to go with the book theme, my first ever tattoo was when I got my first scholarship offer. I told my dad, I was like, all right, if I get a scholarship offer and you have to pay for college, can I get a tattoo? He's like, yeah. So my junior year, I get an offer, and I go to basketball. It says against all odds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the start of my book. I beat the odds. Grew up in New Hampshire, played Division I basketball, and that's kind of how my tattoos started. As far as moving to New York City, I've always been in the tattoos. I've always been in the fashion. I've always been in the music. So that's not something that I've been into since 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade. And then so when I moved here, it's everything's on steroids.
Yeah.
It's whoa, fashion to the most, tattoos and this and that. And so I guess I linked with Rico, someone that I had a really good relationship with, and I think that's big with tattoos, is finding someone that you trust and they trust you. And when you're sitting there getting tattoos, sometimes they might hurt, and you're not awkward trying to act tough and cool around someone you don't know. So I think our relationship made, whenever I had an idea, something that inspired me, yo, Rico, let's go do this. And so New York City definitely plays a part, though, for sure.
Yeah. And so you talk about Rico. For anyone that doesn't know, Rico is Chris's artist, been his artist from day one. Super dope guy, located out in the Bronx. We'll put his Instagram or whatever on the screen so you guys can check it out. But talk to me about how you went about meeting Rico. How did you guys meet?
When I first moved to New York, I was just trying to capture the grassroots scene. I met a kid named Cash, Kashif Pratt. He's an agent now. He's Isaiah Briscoe's agent.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I want to get a tattoo. And he's like, oh, I got someone. So he linked me with Rico. At the time, Rico never tattooed an NBA guy, never tattooed a celebrity, never tattooed a rapper. And I got a tattoo. It said, keep smiling, life is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And, since then, Rico's the main guy in New York. Chris Brown, the Migos, Fabulous, Davies, 20 NBA players. So he's like lit. So, you know, it always feels good to like help someone with their craft, like in my own little way. So it's been cool to see Rico's rise.
Yeah. So you talk about like your first tattoos kind of, and I remember like looking at pictures of you in Louisville, super clean cut dude, right? And now you do it before and after. It's kind of like a J.R. Smith thing. Like you look at J.R. before the tats versus now, it's like went from literally 0 to 100 like real quick. So you talked about your first tattoo and your dad with the scholarship. So was there, like, growing up, was it like, you know, Chris, I don't want you getting tattoos? Was that kind of like your household thing?
No, so my dad was never like he didn't raise me on like, don't do this, don't do that. He just raised me off for like, treat people the right way. And that's literally how he raised me. And so he never told me no with the tattoos. I remember when I got my first tattoo, I actually got it, right? He knew I was going to get it. I walked home, I showed him, and he just like walked to the wall. Yeah. And like stood there. He was like disappointed. Yeah. But I think, you know, as I've grown, I think he sees that all my tattoos have real meaning. Yeah. And and they mean a lot to me. They inspire me. And like I said, it's kind of like my book.
So I know I want to get into now, let's get into some certain like specific tattoos. You're talking about your dad. I know that you got a tattoo, a portrait of your dad. And I know the story behind it, but I want you to kind of tell people the story behind it. So why did you get that tattoo? Like, what was kind of going on in that time? And
you know, so he's worked at the post office. He was a postal worker for like 20 plus years. Yeah. And he got to the point where like you could retire, but like the longer you go, you get like more on your retirement. Yeah, yeah. And it was like really stressing me out that he was like having to walk 8 miles a day, like in 10-degree weather. So, yeah, you know, I made the decision. I was like, okay, like you've already put your work in. Like, it's time to retire. And, you know, I'll be able to help you out. Anything that you need, whether it's your rent or your whatever it is. And so I made that promise to myself that I'm going to help him out. And so I took the train to New Hampshire. And I surprised him at work. You know, all of his workers knew I was coming. And, you know, I told him it's time to retire. And that someone took a picture of that moment. And that was the tattoo I put behind my knee. My dad, like, cried when he saw that tattoo.
Yeah, that's sick.
So it's a meaningful tattoo.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. So now tell me about you have a lot of portraits on you. You have a ton of portraits on you. Talk to me about just some of the guys or just some of the portraits you have on you, and just, you know, go down the list kind of what was the reason for getting that on you, or what was the inspiration that they kind of gave you?
Yeah, so I mean, so a lot of the portraits on my legs. I have Jason Williams, he actually came to the summit, and like I gotta like put him through a little shooting workout. That was dope. Like crazy. That was like my favorite player growing up. Yeah. I have Pistol Pete, one of my favorite players. I just got Phil Jackson, someone that I don't think I would be where I'm at if it wasn't for him. Yeah. And I have a bunch of tattoos that, like, on your page, people are like, why does he have this tattoo? Why does he have Kurt Cobain? Why is he? And, I have a lot of people that are like trendsetters in what they do. And they don't have to be basketball trendsetters. They're like trendsetters in music. Or, Marilyn Monroe, like, she was like the first like woman, like one of the first like express herself and be like, I'm me, like, you're gonna deal with it. Like, and I think with in the training industry, I was like one of the first with tattoos and kind of carried myself in a certain type of way. So I kind of I'm very influenced by people that started their own lane in a craft and a whole bunch of people followed. Yeah. And that's kind of like my thing. So that's,
well, yeah, I would definitely say when you look at the training game, like you're saying, the normal trainer wasn't known 5 years ago. You made it where, like, you could see guys now. There's a bunch of trainers on Instagram now that people know. Yeah. And I think that's mainly because of you, because of how you use social media, how you use, these different things. Like, people weren't bringing 5-6 guys in a gym to train and then shooting all of it. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? You used your, like, media expertise, whatever, using Instagram to kind of be like, hey, like, you're going to know me. You're not going to just know the ball players. You're going to know the guy that made him able to make that shot. You're going to know the guy that made, that run able to happen. And I think that's sick, but that wasn't always the case, right? So talk to me about, like, your just, like, kind of grind and how you started off and then how you got to now being, I feel like anyone that knows what basketball is knows who Chris Brickley is. So.
Nah, I appreciate that. It was never like something that I was never like, I'm going to make it so trainers now have influence. I never like told myself that. I think I really, I worked really hard and I stayed true to like what so I got a tattoo when I was a junior in high school. Mm-hmm. I was always in the clothes out. So everything that I genuinely was into as like a child, I just like carried that over the professional world and what I do. So, you know, prior to me in the whole training industry, like it wasn't big taking pictures during workouts.
Yeah.
It wasn't big like players wearing certain outfits and going viral.
Well, I was gonna say it's almost like it was like secretive almost. Like I feel like before, like it was like, oh, like you're training with this guy. You know, why aren't you training with the team, or why aren't you the same thing with the outfits? Like, oh, why is he wearing this to work out? I feel like it was like a taboo kind of thing where people were like, you know, talking shit about it.
Yes.
Where now it's like people want to see what's going on. Like people want to know what's up.
For sure, 100%. Yeah, and you know, I kind of went through it at first. When I first started like taking pictures of workouts and posting them, that would be so many people, so many trainers, so many coaches like, oh, why do you have to show your work? Why do you have to do this?
Yeah.
And then like a year goes by, you see that same person
posting the same thing. Yeah,
and so it's just cool that I've been able to inspire, you know, these open runs and people taking pictures and workouts and you know, tattoos with trainers. I see so many trainers now that hit me. They're like, man, I saw your story and I got this tattoo because of you. And so that's like, that's what life's about to me.
Well, I feel like too, like you're saying, you kind of went out where trainer, like you're supposed to, like in someone's head 5 years ago, it's like clean cut, no tattoos, no, you know, not supposed to be into fashion, supposed to just work on the court. Like you kind of, like you said, you expressed yourself, did your own thing, and it's like now you broke the kind of image of a trainer. Like when I think of a trainer right now, you're in the head, you know what I'm saying? So it's like a different mold for like the next generation coming up of what they think.
And I just have one thing, not to cut you off, but so people that don't know me, you know, you could go to my social media and see the tattoos and see the music, but like at the end of the day, like 90% of my day, like I just got done watching film. Like it's like basketball. Like I'm like obsessed with the game, obsessed with evolving on how to teach the game. And so that's the one thing I don't want to get misconfused to like kids out there. Like, sure, like try and be like me, right? But that doesn't mean you're just gonna get a whole bunch of tattoos and hang out with so-and-so. All my time is like being a basketball trainer. Yeah. And this is just like what I like to do when I'm not, you know, watching basketball or training. So that's something that I just wanted to say.
Yeah. So take me through, you know, Chris Brickley, you want a new tattoo. Take me through your kind of mind, what goes through the thought process. Like you hit up Rico, kind of take me through that whole process.
Okay, so it'll be whatever mood. I have to have a strong feeling about something, whether it's good or it's bad. But it's something that's like stuck, that's like in my mind, right? And it's in my mind for like a few months. It's like a part of my life. I'll hit Rico. I'll be like, yo, so I'm thinking about doing so-and-so. And then he'll be like, how about we, or I'll give him a person. He'll be like, how about we do this picture? How about we do that? And then we'll kind of go back and forth. I'll think about it again for like a few more weeks. Yeah. And then I'll go in. So none of them are like last moment tattoo.
Like impulse,
yeah. So the Phil Jackson one, how you said, you know, for the longest, I hid my tattoos. Yeah. And Phil found that out towards the end of his time. Yeah. He was like, dude, just wear shorts and a T-shirt. Like, I don't care about that. Be yourself. Yeah. And Phil told me that. And so, you know, that's one of the reasons why I tattooed him. That's also one of the reasons why, you know, I am who I am. Phil kind of gave me that confidence that I can be me and still be successful. Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about that. I want to get into that tattoo. So let's do it. Phil Jackson, like once was technically your like boss, right? So to go out and then like you said, have the impact he had on you. Just talk to me about how it was like working for Phil or just working with Phil. And then obviously what he kind of taught you in the basketball game, because he's one of obviously the greatest minds, you know, behind basketball ever.
Yeah, no, he taught me just how to manage people. I think that's so important, especially what I'm doing now. As I've grown, you know, I'm working with all these guys and just managing a guy that after a game, he might not want to talk to anyone. Yeah. Or after a bad game, he might want to do extra film. Like he just taught me how to manage players, manage stars, manage people. I think that was like his big thing. And I think with being a trainer, if you don't have a relationship with the player, you can't communicate with them, or you don't understand who he is, you're not going to get too far. Yeah. So yeah, Phil he inspired me to just study people more and really understand them.
Oh, have you been able to show Phil that yet?
No, I haven't. He's in Montana. Okay. Chilling.
So is that like a plan going forward? You're going to show him, obviously?
So we exchange texts like once or twice a year. I was singing about it once it heals. Yeah. I think
That'd be dope. I want to talk to you about, you know, your kind of influences growing up in terms of tattoos. So, I mean, when we talk to guys on the podcast, you know, you obviously have like the AIs and stuff, but I'm curious with you because you know, you have a ton of pop culture stuff. So talk to me about like your influences. It can be basketball, but also just outside of basketball when it comes to tattoos.
Yeah.
And people with tattoos.
So As far as my influences are only basketball people.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Williams and AI were like my main influences. And with the pop culture stuff, that's just like, I'm into that. I'm into music. I'm into fashion. And I think that's pop culture, music and fashion. So, yeah, no one's like influenced like why I've gotten certain tattoos, but Jason Williams and AI have influenced that me getting tattoos as a whole.
So when guys come into the gym, obviously, at the NBA, a lot of guys are tatted. Same thing with the rap game. A lot of guys are tatted.
Sure.
And you've said that you've put guys on to Rico or just gone to like, them getting a tattoo or whatever. So talk to me about how that is, like kind of being in a session with whether it's Dave East, I saw he got his whole fucking back done, or it's D-Lo going in and getting something. How is that like environment when you're kind of like hanging out and getting tattooed with guys like that?
Yeah, so that's always like I always joke around, like a rookie in the league, they're always quick to be like, yo, who's your tattoo artist?
Yeah.
So actually last week when I was working with Tyler
Yeah.
and Jimmy, Tyler's like, he's looking at my things, he's like, who's your tattoo artist?
Yeah.
And it's funny, a lot of guys younger in their careers, when they ask me that, I'm like, okay, this guy's in the tattoos. Like a year or two go by, and then they start getting all these tattoos. That's all right, you're in the tattoos. But no, anyone I work with, I'm not one of these trainers that the players that come through my gym isn't like an agent sent them.
Yeah.
It's because I have a genuine relationship with them. And so anyone you see me post, anyone you see me work with, it's because I have a genuine relationship with them. And usually, you get to talk when you have a real relationship.
Yeah.
And then the tattoo thing will come up. And, I've put on D'Angelo Russell, Tim Hardaway, so many guys over the years, Melo, J.R. Smith, and Rico.
Well, how dope is that to like you were just saying, to see? Because I know D'Lo's definitely one of those guys. I remember when he was in Brooklyn, you were training him, and he didn't have much. Like when he first came in, I mean, Brooklyn, he started getting a little stuff. When he was in LA, he really had nothing.
Yeah.
But is now one of the most tatted guys in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
So like for you, just being like as a friend too, not even just a trainer, you get to see, like you were saying, these guys. How like wild is that? And I want to ask you, where do you think kind of the NBA is going in terms of like tattoos? Like, do you think like more guys are going to be tatted than guys aren't tatted? Like, do you think that's going to be more of a?
I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like, tattoos are definitely getting more accepted. I feel like it seems like so many NBA guys have nowadays. I think it's going in the direction of, tattoos aren't the worst thing. I think at one point people looked at tattoos as like, oh, this guy might have character issues.
For sure.
But now there's so many guys that have tattoos that have amazing characters.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going in the direction where they're accepted.
Yeah. So tell me, I'm curious, when you were with New York as the assistant, was there ever like times where you're saying where there's like people talking about character with tattoos and stuff? Because JR was on that team, right?
Yes.
So, JR is one of the pioneers, one of the guys that came in and was kind of like, fuck it, and did his thing. And is JR, neck down tats,
for sure,
face tats, everything.
Yep.
So was there ever a time where you kind of saw that or kind of felt that energy going on with JR back then?
No, not with him, but I did sit in, meetings and, say like when you're getting ready for the draft, that'd be, that sometimes that'd be some older personnel that would staff that would look at players and judge them off of that.
Yeah.
For sure. I think now we're in 2022. I don't think that's the thing anymore.
And then, so I want to bring this up then too. So when we spoke to Willie Cauley-Stein, and Willie's a guy with face tattoos. And Willie spoke about when he was kind of like in his rookie year, second year, where he 100% felt that, because he had a face tat, whether it was just like people throwing around jokes that like kind of had some meaning behind it or just shit like that. We're starting to see, and I see you have a little bit on your hand and a little bit behind the ear, guys go out and get tattoos, whether it's on the face, the hands, the neck, those like spots that previously people looked at, like you're saying, where it was like, oh, like this guy's crazy. How is he going to do that? So do you see kind of the NBA or just like the tattoo world moving towards like, more face tats and more like hand stuff like that?
That's so first off, that the face is off limits for me personally.
Okay, yeah.
And so the three that I do have are like, probably stuff that I really live by. So, I've raised the bar behind my ear, which, that's something I try to continually do. Me and my team, we try and raise the bar to stuff that people have never done, never even thought of. I have focus up behind one, which is, if you're not focused, you're not going to get too far in life. And then I have humility. And I think that, you're not going to get too far in life if you don't you're not humble.
Yeah.
So, those are the three. I think those are the only 3 tattoos I'll ever get that are in my hands.
Yeah.
But no, there's a lot of players that Jordan Clarkson just got a face tattoo.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for just being yourself. If you think that's the right thing to do, if you believe in it, if you like it, then do it.
Yeah. For you, how have you seen, because you've been getting tatted for a while now. I would say how many years? Like 10 years you've probably been getting tattooed?
Yeah.
How have you seen the tattoo game in terms of like equipment and just quality of your tattoos from, 10 years ago versus now? Like, how has your experience kind of changed from getting a tattoo?
Yeah, no, I think the big thing now is getting the little ointment where you can't feel the tattoo.
Yeah.
That's the numbing cream. Yeah, so that's like the big thing now. So players, I know a lot of players, almost majority of guys that get tattoos now use a numbing cream. I've never used a numbing cream. I try to, I'm sticking to how I started getting them. But, that's a big thing. I feel like the portraits, when I first started getting portraits, you didn't see a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
I actually feel like me and Brandon Jennings, at the time we started getting portraits, I feel like a lot of guys started getting them after that.
I like that.
I really believe that. Yeah, what else has changed with the tattoo?
Just about how about experience? Like 10 years ago with Rico versus 10 years versus like you go today.
Yeah.
How have you kind of seen, let's talk about Rico for a second. How have you kind of seen his come up? Like his studio change, his kind of way of going about things change?
I think now tattoo artists try and make their studios almost like a lounge, like a cool place. At first he had this spot. Then as he got bigger, now it's like you can go there, you can play video games, you can listen to music. So it's kind of like, it's like a hangout spot. But as far as like the tattoos itself, I'd have to ask Rico that. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe we'll get Rico on. We'll ask him. How would you explain or tell us how is a Chris Brickley kind of tattoo? How does it go? Like, are you a type of guy you want to be listening to music? You want to be hanging out with people? Like, how do you kind of, when you get tatted, what do you want to be around?
No, I need to be around. I don't like to just be by myself. Me and Rico are close.
Yeah.
But I like, having a few friends there. I like listening to music. I don't like it to be like I'm in like detention. And I'm just sitting there. It makes it go by slow. But I've gotten a few though, actually, a few like super meaningful ones about, people that have passed away, whatever the case. I don't want people to be around when I get to certain tattoos. But for the most part, I like it just to be a fun vibe. I'm someone that I don't like living alone. I don't like being alone for too long. I like being around people. Yeah. And that's kind of how I get tattoos.
That's sick. So for you, what would you say your most meaningful tattoo to you is?
We would probably go with my father.
Okay.
That's one of them. Man. And I forget about stuff I have too. Meaningful tattoos. My mother's eye. I think just the family stuff.
Yeah.
Which I have a lot of family stuff. Yeah.
And then what would you say then your favorite is? Not meaningful, just kind of
that changes up. I think my favorite one, it's crazy. 4 or 5 people have gotten the same exact tattoo in the same spot. So it says I will and then in my handwriting, and it says inspire, encourage. And so that exact tattoo, like I said, maybe I'll send it to you. You can put them on the screen.
Yeah.
People from all over the world have gotten that tattoo, like the I will inspire and encourage. So that's super dope that I came up with that concept, and I'm actually doing that in real life, and that people are getting it. So that's cool.
How does that kind of feel? Because I know we had Ty was on the pod, and Ty Young has a couple tattoos where she said similar, where she created herself, and then people were sending it to her, and she was kind of blown away. How does that kind of feel to you when you're sitting there and it's wow, I created this, and now there's people getting this on their body forever.
Yeah, it's dope. I guess what I wrote, I will inspire. It's inspiring people to I guess get the same tattoo, and I hope that they're getting it for the right reasons. So every tattoo I have, it's for a reason that means something to me, and I guess that's my biggest advice when getting a tattoo. Don't get a tattoo because you think it's cool. You think just does it mean something to you? Yes or no? If it does, then get it. If no, then you shouldn't get just to look cool. I don't think.
What has been your longest session? Have you been getting tattooed?
So I got my whole calf in one session.
Oof.
And it's like a picture of. It starts off in New Hampshire with the trees and mountains, and then it goes down a highway, and then you're in Times Square.
Yeah.
And it's a portrait that shows that. So from New Hampshire to New York City, I think that was 6 hours. That was terrible.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, so then Give me, what would you say your most like painful tat has been?
So I was like 3 or 4. I have like freedom on my ankle, like my
shit.
actual ankle that hurts behind my knees, really hurt. And then like by like my arm, like these areas that like really hurts. I have no excuses, no regrets on one. One of my favorite sayings: "In a period of pain, gives one the strength to succeed." I have those like by like that's not a fun area.
Yeah. And then, so we spoke a little bit about this off camera, but let's get it on camera. Is the question we kind of ask everybody is how much have you spent on your tattoos, or how much you think you spent on your tattoos?
Mm-hmm. So it's like a tricky situation. So me and Rico, we came up together.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times it would be like, you know, I was getting them players and this, that, and the third, and not even like, yo, I'm gonna get you this. It's like a guy asked me, yo, where'd you get your tattoos? Rico. And then it happens organically. And so because I did that, Rico's looked out for me. And I've never asked him, even to this day, if I get a tattoo, I'll be like, yo, how much I owe you? He'd be like, nah, I don't. You're good.
Yeah.
But if I were to pay for all of them, man, yeah. Like over 75,000, over 70,000. You say it's 1,000, like nowadays it's like $1,000, right? An hour.
Yeah.
So for sure.
Wow. So
Sure.
75K, and you still have, right, your like back is still kind of freed, and your like stomach, torso too. So I mean, just on legs and arm, 75K, that's the highest number we've heard.
Because
so
portraits, you know, I have like 25 portraits. And then I started like getting words over my tattoos. So yeah, it's a lot of money. Shout out Rico though. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Do you keep count? Do you know how many tattoos you have?
No, I have no idea. I don't.
No.
I should do that though.
Are you looking to kind of go and keep adding and like do your back, your torso, kind of like that, or are you staying to what you kind of have?
At this point, I'm good. You know, something comes up. You know, I don't know what I'm going to be inspired by.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone lives their life knowing I'm going to be inspired by this or whatever the case may be. But you know, I would like to think when I have kids one day.
Yeah.
Something about them. But yeah, no, I don't know if I'm done. I know I'll never get my face.
Okay.
I know I don't want it. I don't like want to take my shirt off and have it be like completely.
Yeah.
I don't want that. So I don't think I'll ever get my stomach. So yeah, I have like areas where I won't get my hands in my face, but who knows other than that.
Okay. And now I want to switch like kind of from tattoos just to like more general stuff. But I want to know, this is a question I wanted to ask you is when you were coming up, I remember I watched your episode on Gary V's podcast. And
shout out Gary V.
Shout out Gary V. And I was like kind of moved by that because it was kind of sick how you were talking about, you know, your whole grind and coming from like literally like working your ass off and people not realizing, because I think that happens a lot where it's like from the outside looking in, it's so easy to be like, yo, this guy's life is sick. Like this guy's got everything. And you were explaining that like you would literally have to like Uber to the practice and then you wouldn't have a ride back.
Yeah, that happened a lot.
So for you, kind of, what made you like just keep fighting? Like, what was like kind of your like mentality to just be like, you know what, like something's gonna eventually work out. Like it's eventually gonna work.
I guess that's all I know. All I know is grinding. All I know is working. So I never like sat down and I was like, okay, I'm gonna make it. It's just like my entire life since I started playing basketball. It's like I wake up and I work, and that's my life. Like.
Yeah.
You know, I can't just like go on a vacation for weeks, and I just can't live like that. I'll go crazy. So I still have that same mindset. I still have that same mindset that I had back then today. So I don't know how to like put it into words. Maybe like as I get older, I can articulate it better because I'm still like in that mindset of like, I don't have anything. I need to get more. I want to work harder. I want to inspire more people. I want to teach the game better. So I don't think right now is like a good time for me to answer it. Maybe down the line I can answer it.
So what about like, has there ever been a time, or when was the first time where you kind of were like starstruck? Because you're around, you know, the biggest names in the rap industry, the biggest names in the basketball industry. Was there a time where you kind of sitting there and, you know, someone walked in the gym or someone like kind of hit you up on Instagram and you were kind of like, oh shit, like this is blah blah blah?
Yeah, it's funny. One of the times I regret how I acted with it, but 2 times, I guess. So this is a funny story, actually. So when Puma first started, they opened a flagship store on 5th Ave.
Okay.
And I was with my manager, Alex, and we got there early. It was like the grand opening. And, you know, they let us in. We're in like the second floor. It's just us. and we're just like looking at, you know, the walls. The Puma store is really cool. Shout out to Puma. And like 10 feet away from us is just Jay-Z by himself. Just by himself. And he's like walking in our direction. And this is a true story. And it was just us up there. And now I don't know whether like I took like a right turn or like walked away from him or whatever the case may be. But I didn't say anything to him. But in my mind, I was so starstruck. I kind of regret not going up to him and talking to him at that moment. Yeah. Because I've yet to meet him.
I was just gonna say, have you like
no,
met
I haven't,
since then?
But I want to meet him.
Yeah.
I want to meet him. But so I think I was starstruck at that moment. It's funny how I was starstruck, but I walked away. Yeah. It's a weird story. But yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah. All right. So what about this is a question that like a random question, but this is something I wanted to ask. When you have these runs with the rappers and stuff, right? Who takes aux? Who's got aux when the runs are happening?
So that's a good question. So, you know, you can't go wrong. Also, shout out Jay-Z. I hope Jay-Z somehow can see this on YouTube.
Yeah, me too.
You can never go wrong playing Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who the artist is. It doesn't matter if some like down south rappers are playing or some West Coast. Like I've yet to have an artist that I play like, you know, one of the Blueprints or any Jay-Z. I've yet to have an artist be like, yo, turn that off. So I always play old Jay-Z. That's what, you know, old Jay-Z. And I'll go through moments where I play, you know, old 50.
Okay. I like both of those.
But yes, but to answer, I'm always on the aux. Okay. Unless I'll give an aux to an artist that's like, yo, I want to play some unreleased music.
Oh, shit.
That's always dope.
Yeah.
A Boogie's like the king of that.
Yeah.
And people like love when like he's in the gym because we know that he's going to play some unreleased music. So that's always dope. But yeah, no, I'm usually in charge of the aux.
Okay. And then for you, like when you obviously you have all these guys in here and stuff, you get the up close looks at all their tattoos and whatnot. Are there some guys that you could like maybe shout out, or just guys that you've seen tattoos that you're like, yo, those are pretty dope?
Yeah. So as far as artists or players?
Players that have certain tattoos.
Kelly Oubre has fire tattoos. Yeah. He's actually gotten a few from Rico, but he has some really good work. This summer I was around Jordan Clarkson. He has some dope tattoos. Who else has some like really good tattoos that's inspired me? You know, non-basketball related is OBJ. I feel like he has
crazy ink. Yeah.
So he's inspired some of the ways I've gotten my tattoos. Yeah. Like he inverted the tattoo or whatever the case may be. But to me, the two top people, as far as like, damn, their ink is dope, is Kelly Oubre and OBJ.
Yeah, that's a solid list. And then, I mean, OBJ, like you're saying, is kind of like with the same thing. Kind of, you have the portraits and stuff. He's one of those guys went all pop culture, all like influence.
So you know what's crazy about that? I never said this. While I was, now I'm not saying this, so I might be completely wrong, but this is like something that's gone through my mind. So if you were to look at the timeline of that, we were both living in New York City. We were both hanging around some of the same people. Yeah. And at that was the point of my life. You probably remember. I was like, I'd post every tattoo I get. Yeah. So if I went, I would like post it. I might take it down the next day, but I'm posting every tattoo I got. And I was heavy on the portraits, and like right around that time is when OBJ started being heavy on the portraits. I got Tupac. I think there's a lot of people that I got in like. I'm not saying that I inspired them, but it was interesting looking back at it. We're both in New York. I feel like I was getting tattoos, certain stuff, and then he was. I don't know.
So there might be something. Could be coincidental timing. To But if not, it inspired one of the
for sure
like biggest names in tattoos
for sure,
which is wild
for sure.
And then what about for just like future plans for you with ink? I know you said you obviously you don't want to really go all out with the hands and the neck and whatnot. Yeah. But for you, is it kind of like you said, open-minded? But is it kind of a thing like, you know, to the day I die, I'll be ready to get a tattoo kind of thing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's therapeutic. It's like I said, you know, my book of my life is still going on, and I treat it like it's a book. My tattoos. So there's, you know, I'm gonna go through a lot of more highs. Hopefully not too many lows, but that's part of life. So yeah, I'll probably get some more tattoos. That'll be kind of adding on to my book.
That's sick. One of the last questions I have for you before we wrap up is just about like the runs and stuff, and it's just when you're as you talked about your whole grind, and I spoke about how I kind of heard it on the Gary Vee podcast, but when you are ever like sitting in those runs, right, with like those guys, and it's like literally you got you know 5 MVPs, 20 All-Stars, and it's like they came, you know, to my gym, they came to work out with me. Do you ever sit there and you're kind of like, yo, like like that's me. Like this is kind of like you put this together. Like does that ever hit you?
Maybe like the honest to God answer, maybe like twice a year.
Yeah.
And it'll be like a cold, like this sounds so weird. Like it'll be winter.
Yeah.
Late at night. I haven't done a workout for like a week or two. I'm like missing doing the workouts. So I start like open up my phone, go to like, look at the summer, look at the summer before that. And I'm like, yo, it's like the same week I had this guy and this guy and this guy. Yo, I had, like, and then I'll get out of it and I'll be like, man, I need to do more. Like but yeah, a few times a year I'll see that and be like, damn, that's crazy. But I don't live my life like that.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you talking to us, having us here. I mean, the gym is sick. All your tattoos are sick. The stories were dope just now. Like I said, you were one of the first guys when we were planning the whole podcast thing. I was like, we got to get Chris on because, like you said, you kind of discovered me before I even discovered myself, like that the page could be something. And you were the first guy to kind of give that credit and keep me pushing and like kind of going for it. So I appreciate that. Thank you for coming on, bro.
Thanks,
Fire
bro.
episode.
Appreciate you.
Great conversation. Thank you, everybody, for
Yes, sir.
for coming.